Hey, this is Jason Mott. If you want your baseball news, listen to One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer with JJ and Vince.
Welcome to One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer. I am your host that's in a different location. I'm in my TV room, and my very effervescent, very visually appealing co-host JJ Jackson has got Nolan Ryan standing on his head. I see you're wearing a San Francisco Giants hat. The Giants are off to a great start.
Yes, they are. And I tell you what, Vince, in that division, I know I got Fernando Valenzuela. I love Fernando Valenzuela. I know I got the Dodgers over my shoulder, but the Giants are the team. That team, they hang in there. I love their coach. Nice mixture of players, and they're doing great so far. But my good luck is if when the Cardinals lose, I switch hats. And I wear that hat. And this was the hat I wore when they won the 17 games in a row. So maybe this will get something started tonight,
They're up 3-0 on Paul Skeens already.
We might be there. Everybody's got one player. John Milner used to kill us, the Cardinals. Maybe we're that for Skeens. Maybe, who knows? There's no rhyme or reason. We weren't all that good last year, but we beat him twice, and he only lost 3 games. So we'll see. But our bullpen's been so bad. I ain't counting nothing till the 27th out.
Well, before my mind leaves, I do want to say this about the Cardinals, being I've been able to watch a lot of them. It's not just that Brant Brown is teaching them, it's that they are listening. And for a team and it was a different hitting philosophy last year, extra base hits, get runs in, and you had a lot of strikeouts piling up. But tonight I saw the at-bat by Victor Scott, who hit the triple into the gap. That was an outside pitch. Looked like a little one of his, what's he called, splinker. But he reached out, and he was able to hook it and pull it into the right center gap for a triple. But I was really impressed with Donovan's at-bat when he had the outside fastball, and he just flicked the barrel out there. And that shows me that they're not just having the message preached by Brant Brown; they're actually internalizing it and making it a part of their game. And Kathy and I were talking earlier today, and about attendance being down and stuff like that. Because I saw a post in one of the Cardinal groups saying, we need to do something about this now before it's too late. This should be a fun season for the fans. No expectations. You're rebuilding. Let's see what they can do and get excited, not about victories, but about small victories within the game when they're doing stuff right, when they're learning to play the game. When Donovan is sticking the barrel on the bat, which is a pitch he probably would have swung through a year ago, and gets a base hit and scores Victor Scott. I just kind of like it when there is a reset and you can just kind of take the anxiety of wins and losses out a little bit and focus in on what this team has. And I got confidence that, they'll turn it around in a couple of years. There's some talent on this team. They're just young, but the pitching is a problem. But we'll see how that goes. We need to get the housekeeping done.
Oh, let's do the housekeeping first, Vince. I'm excited. We're here. You, me. I'm with you. I know you having some sort of procedure tomorrow. You may not want to talk about, but I'm drinking the same stuff you're drinking, Vince.
I've drank it all. I'm having a colonoscopy tomorrow. This is the second time I've been through this. So, the day before you don't eat. I've had a bowl of Jell-O. I've had 2 packets of chicken flavored bouillon, and then I've had all the laxatives and mixtures that they make you drink in order to make sure that the procedure goes very good tomorrow. So So that's why I'm in this room. So if I need to use the bathroom, I can just zip right out there. And but
No problem.
I think I'm good right now. I think I'm good for a few hours.
All right.
Okay. Uh, please like us on Facebook. Even though I just told you my whole crappy story, like us on Facebook. If you're one of the people who are watching the YouTube channel, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can have our information as soon as it drops. If you'd like to contact us, you can contact us via email at onecard1cup1beer@gmail.com. You can leave us DM somewhere. You can put a message on on our Facebook or the whatever platform you may be listening on podcast form, or you can put a comment on the YouTube channel. Anyway, there are many ways you can communicate with us, and we always like to hear from you. If you would like to be a guest on this show, please let us know. Contact us because we love to have our people who watch and listen to be the guests on our show. You don't have to be the biggest baseball fan in the world, but it helps. You don't have to know anything about, but it helps. So, I mean, you can come on here. I could go on a show about cake decorating and look like a real doofus, but hey, at least I would be on a YouTube show. That'd be pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
just want to be on here. Pretty cool. All right. Um, so I'm very excited. Um, Saturday, we have a trivia match in Alton, Illinois, and it's for feral cat rescue,
Nice.
which everybody knows I'm a cat nut, so it's something that's kind of close to my heart. But very excited. Got my daughter Tabitha, my daughter Evelyn, and Tabitha's husband Mondo, Evelyn's boyfriend Tony, my good friend Angela Sarandis and her husband David. Angela is the reason that Kathy and I met each other because back in the MySpace days, Kathy was stalking me through Angela's MySpace page, and that is the truth, whether she admits it or not. And then we have another couple, been friends of ours for a long time, Mike and Lori Fry, 30 years of friendship. So I'm just excited to see old friends. I'm excited to hang out with some family. I'm excited to do trivia for a cause that I believe in. And dadgummit, I'm excited to win. So
Hey, yeah.
I
That's
want to
fantastic,
win.
man. That's a
Now, if I come
good.
on here next Tuesday and I'm bragging, we won. If I come on here and I don't mention a word, we got creamed.
All right. All right.
All right.
We'll see. Well, I'm giving you all the positive energy. I think it's a good night of friendship to get out to, just to have friendship and do something together. And that's a fun evening, those trivia nights.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh,
excited about that. Today's election day, and I voted. JJ forgot.
I forgot.
Um, we didn't have much
Potosi's
going on.
going to fall apart now.
In a year when we visit Potosi and it's a ghost town. Here was Potosi, Missouri, the town that fell apart because JJ Jackson didn't vote.
I didn't vote. Oh, well.
See, I'm gonna put this on my hat. I actually
There
like.
you go.
There we go. So we really, I was telling you before we started, we really didn't have our. That was our ballot. I mean, not actually, but it was just one side, and we had two tax things for education. We had trustees, and in my district, we didn't have any aldermen running, but we do have a mayoral, that's hard to say, election, which I don't think we've had for about 10 years. We've had the same people, same mayor for about 10 years. So
So
kind of
they ran unopposed all that time? They ran unopposed?
I don't remember her ever having
Yeah.
opposition. I mean, I am getting older and I do forget things. So maybe she has, but I don't think so. So anyway, uh, let's go ahead and get into the opening chat. JJ, how was your week?
Oh, it's been great, Vince. I'm going to give everybody a little peek behind the curtain. I'm getting excited this Saturday. Mike Matheny is going to be in Caledonia at a Boys Dream hobby shop. I'm very excited. I went to a bunch of my friends and I bought all their Mike Matheny cards and I took it down there and gave them to Brad so people can have something to sign. I kept about 6 for myself, but we may have some surprises. I know that Mike has wrote a new book about a dad coach. And if he's got copies down there, I'm going to buy one and have him sign it. I bought his last book. I like Mike Matheny. I think he's a good man. He had a nice career, some gold gloves. And you know me, I get excited whenever there's a ball player around to just kind of shoot the bull. You never know what we're going to say to each other. So that's going on. And also, I went to a show. And what would you say to this, Vince? What is the sign that you've made it in life? Is it money? Is it the love of a good friend, husband or wife, or is it raising good kids, good citizens out there? What would you say is the sign of success, of making it in life? What would you say?
Are you happy?
Are you? That's good.
I
That's Nietzsche stuff there. Yeah.
I went on a date once, and this was after my divorce, and I was talking about my ex mother-in-law, who will never listen to this, so who cares? But anyway, she was really trying to be in that upper echelon of society. She had social ambitions, let's just say that. And so we were talking on this date, and I told this lady, I said, my mother-in-law, blah, 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 she's kind of like this. And my mother-in-law once had a statement that I thought was weird. She said, I think success is the best revenge.
Heard that saying before.
And I thought,
good. I thought it was good living is the best revenge or something like that.
she just said, I think success is the best revenge. And I'm thinking, first of all, who are you trying to get revenge against?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I saw my date this, and she just kind of, yeah, that's kind of weird. I kind of think happiness is the best revenge. And I thought, yeah, I think if you're a happy person,
you've
people
made it. You've
like
done
you
it.
are going to like you even less if you're happy. So I think maybe happiness or having your name in the local newspaper.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, for some people, and I'm one of them, I think you've really made it when they make a garden gnome of you. Now, I thought the Cardinals only had 4. There's Willie McGee. There's Willie McGee. Okay. I'm just showing these off because I thought I had them all. So there's Willie McGee. There is Bruce Sutter, who is a Cardinal. Oh, no. Yes, there's Bruce Sutter. Bruce Sutter, who was a Cardinal and a Cub, as everyone knows. The White Rat, Whitey Herzog. All right, there's Whitey and of course, what set is not complete without Yadier Molina with his thing right there. All right, so I thought that was it until this weekend, Vince. I came across this dandy. Can you tell me who this is? Who do you think that is? I'll give you a hint. He played for both the Cardinals and the Cubs. He's a friend. Jason Mott. Jason Mott has a garden gnome. Who would have known? Friend of the show, Jason Mott. Look at. I found out this was a 2012 giveaway at Springfield Cardinals, and when I seen it, I said, Jason Mott. And I said, I gotta have that. I didn't even really collect the garden gnomes. I came across one, and I said, oh, there's another one, and now I've got all of them plus one. So Jason, how about that? So Vince, in my journeys, I like the look on your face. In
Well,
my journey,
go ahead, finish.
well, I just come across a few neat things in my journeys. Like a few weeks ago, I got to meet the one, the only Dwight Gooden, and there's the autograph ball. And I always hook a card on top so you can see their statistics and stuff. But I did some trading, and this is PANI or PANINI. Panani cards, they're very upscale. Sometimes you buy a box for quite a bit of money, and there's only like 3 cards in it. But this is a 32 of 34, and it's a Dwight Gooden autographed Gianni card,
Wow.
32 of 34. So I got that to display with the Dwight Gooden ball. And the other big purchase I got was a Scott Rowland Philadelphia Cardinal. It's kind of an archive looking card of him autographed. It's an auto card. And I thought, oh man, I don't have any Scott Rowlands. And then Vince, you with the RCA cans and all the things you like, I found some old Cardinal and Cub hostess cards. There's Bake McBride hostess card. And these are in good shape because you got to figure these were 10-year-old kids cutting them off the back of the box.
Yes, I'd say that one looks extremely good.
So to have that, that's pretty good. Oh, here's one of your faves. One of mine too. The one and only Bill Madlock.
Oh, Madlock, yes.
Yeah, Mad Dog.
I had that.
Oh, you had that one? Oh my God. I think it's 76 perhaps. The Mad Hungarian without the beard.
Oh, so that must have been the Vern Rapp years.
Yeah. Yeah, perhaps. And then this is 2 of the same guy. Don Kessinger. The Don Kessinger hostess Cardinal. And what the heck? I can't figure out how to straighten them up. There you go. And the Don Kessinger Cub. How about that? One of the few player managers, too, by the way. So that's some of the things I got. And Vince, I've never seen these. These are packs of cards called baseball foldouts. And I got them to open tonight. And they look like this. And there's 17 like picture cards in there. But this one's home run leaders. As you can see, it says home run leaders. But so they gave me a deal on 5 packs. And it wasn't bad, but it's home run leaders, stolen base leaders, relief aces, batting leaders, and pitching leaders. And this is from 1983. So we can kind of go back in time tonight, see some of the guys off of these packs. So I'll let you pick the one later, and we'll open that up. And I don't even know what they look like, to be honest with you. So that was my week. I was getting things ready for the Mike Matheny. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to try to get him to do a promo. And I'm going to invite him to come on and promote his book. Now, he might not, and I might not get a promo, but I'm trying my best. And when I took all the cards up there, I said, I don't want anything. I don't want no money. I just want to see if Mike Matheny cut a promo for our thing. So that's my goal this weekend. So I'll be working on doing that. So anyway, that was my weekend right there, Vince.
Awesome. Now I'm a little disappointed because when you were asking how you knew you made it in life, and you said a garden gnome, I thought that someone made a garden gnome of you.
Oh no!
Which
Well,
I'd be logical.
I feel like a gnome, kind of. Put me behind the rose bush. Yeah, but no garden gnome yet.
There is this documentary on the Red Sox that's playing on Netflix. I haven't seen it yet, but the big thing that is coming out of this is Jarren Duran, their all-star outfielder, reveals that he a couple years ago when he first came up with the Red Sox and he was really struggling, he had a suicide attempt. And I know that years ago in Sports Illustrated, when Glenn Davis played for the Astros, he talked about in a Sports Illustrated article about his struggles with mental health and how he had I don't know if he had attempted or contemplated, but it was to the point where he had a gun to his own head. So, um, but I just think that Jaron Duran coming out with this and being so open about it is very important. Um, Mental health is taken much more serious than it used to be. It's used to be you were a weak-minded person if you had mental problems, if there were mental health issues. And slowly you had prominent people coming out talking about how they had these struggles. And I remember there was I think it was Thomas Eagleton, who was a politician in Missouri in the 70s. Um, I think he was in the running for vice presidential nominee. And then it came out that he had seen a psychiatrist or something, and it killed his political career. So we've come a long way. But I think this is an issue that is important for people to see that even these athletes who make a lot of money before they even play Major League Baseball, a lot of them because they're high profile college players and they get drafted early and they get these huge bonuses, stuff like that. But he came out and he was very open about it. Um, had a rifle and I think the gun jammed or something. Something strange happened, but um, just want to read a quote from him. He said, "Talking about this wasn't easy, but it felt important. I trusted the Netflix crew who was filming this, of course, and I knew that if I was going to share this, I had to be real about it. A few years ago, I found myself in a dark place, but I'm still here. Not in the dark place, but I'm still here in the presence. And I'm so lucky I am. And if my story can help even one person, then it's worth telling. It's that ability to help, to reach those who feel alone, that motivated me to tell my story. Right now, my focus is on the field. We have a postseason to chase, and that's where my head is. I've shared what I needed to share, and I appreciate everyone's understanding that my focus right now is on baseball and helping my team win the World Series. I am grateful for the tremendous support I've received. If you're struggling, please know there's help. Call a friend, a trusted person, your doctor, or an organization like Samaritans. And if you're in immediate danger, call 988 Suicide Prevention Hotline, which I thought was a very, he just laid himself out there for the whole world to see. Hey, I've struggled with mental health. It almost got me. I'm in a much better place now. But I'm sharing my story. If there are other people out there that are struggling, please get some help. And I just thought that was very noble of him.
Yes, that's a strength of a person there. And I tell you what, these young players, like you said, Vince, a lot of them are great shape, good looking, lots of money, and you think, oh, they're on top of the world, but we don't know what's going on, you know, what they're thinking about, what they're going through, and it's got to be tough. A lot of them are young people, like some from other countries that don't even speak English. They're over here in the United States. A lot of people don't speak. I mean, there's a lot of languages in the United States, but it's got to be tough. And sometimes when you're struggling at your profession, oh, it can be rough. And yelling at you. You don't feel like you're living up to it. You feel like maybe you're not going to get your job, keep your job. I work at the VA and we have a lot of veterans. A lot of them have, we all go through ups and downs. And I'll be honest with you, mine hasn't always been rosy, but for some reason, there's always like a breadcrumb for me somewhere. And I'm still here, So I'm grateful, but sometimes I don't know. I can feel when something doesn't feel right, or somebody's just kind of extra quiet. I just go over and sometimes just saying hi, how you doing? It's good to see you. Means the world, because sometimes people just feel left out. They're just nobody's. Their life's going by, and they're just kind of sitting there. So reach out to people if you can, and let's all help each one another. But I think I don't know if I'd had the strength to talk about that in the public. I I'm kind of a private person. So I admire him for coming out and talking about that.
Yeah, I thought it was very noble of him, and I sure hope anybody listening to this, if you have issues, struggling with mental health, phone somebody, call a doctor. I spent a good decade with chronic depression. Uh, just thought this was the way life was. I was always going to be in this dark place. And honestly, it took a divorce to pull me out of it. And I'm not going to get into all that, but um, I didn't even know I was out of it until I ran out of my medication and realized after a few weeks, hey, I forgot to get my medication. Oh, great. So that's been 20 plus years ago, and I haven't had an issue with chronic depression since. So it is something that you can't overcome, but it takes work. It's like anything else; it takes work. So, and I just to go along with the complete sadness. Um, those of you who have not heard, there was a nightclub in the Dominican Republic, and it was quite crowded, and the roof collapsed, and it killed, I think the last count I saw was like 66, 68 people. Two of the people that did not make it out of the nightclub alive was Octavio Dotel, who pitched for many teams for many years, including the Cardinals. And I think he was on that 2016 that won the World Series.
I thought it
2006
was
to 2000.
2011. Maybe it was 11. I know
I
we
don't.
got Kobe Rasmus. He was in that Kobe Rasmus trade that we
Okay.
got him. Yeah.
So,
And it was him and Frucal that used to say happy flight after if we won 2 out of 3 or won the last game and then we went on the road. He was a big part of the team. I've heard players talking about, how sad they are and, thinking of his family, but what a player he was. And he always was confident, determined, and really was a big piece of the team being successful here. And this guy played like 13 years, but he played on 13 different teams and traveled all over and had a nice career. And boy, I hate to hear that. 51 years old, Vince. I'm 61. That's a young man.
yeah, just terrible to have your life snuffed out like that. And then I didn't see this until later today. Tony Blanco, who had played for the Nationals about 12, 13 years ago. He was only 44. He was also there, and he also did not make it out alive. So we've lost two Major League Baseball players in just a freak accident.
Yeah,
I don't even call it an accident. Freak
occurrence.
thing. Yeah, thing. That's the word
Yeah,
I'm looking for.
yeah.
So that's very sad. But so our thoughts go out to their families and uh, everybody else who was involved in that. So
On the card, Vince. While we're on the subject, the Cardinals lost one of a player that was with us in the '64 World Series, Carl Warwick. I'll be honest with you, I have some cards of his. I didn't know a whole lot about him, and I did a little research on him. He passed away April 5th of this year in Dallas, Texas. He was 88 years old, and he played 6 years, and 4 of them with the Cardinals and 2 with the Astros, and then bounced around a little bit. He did play a little bit with Baltimore, the Cubs, and the Dodgers. So anyway, passed away. I've got some cards of him, and really didn't know a lot about him, but I always saw the name up there. And out of those 6 years, he started 3 of them. But mainly he was like a fourth outfielder. So we're losing that World War II 40s, 50s generation. There's not a lot of them around still. So,
yeah.
that's another one. But bless their hearts, with 148 years of baseball, it's been a lot of players, a lot of great memories. So anyway, rest easy, guys.
Well, now that we've brought everything completely down.
I did want to go back to that after we so well, might as well mention that one too.
Well, I thought, do I bring this stuff up? Because generally we're pretty upbeat. Do I bring this stuff up at the beginning and then try to bring it up, or do we do this at the end?
Yeah.
And whenever I was thinking about doing it at the end, I kept thinking of that song from The Doors, "L.A. Woman," when he says, "Let's change the mood from glad to sadness."
All right. Time for glad again.
So, what did you think about Vladdy Guerrero Jr., 14 years, 500 million?
It shocked me at first because I know they talked all winter long, and he is sort of a maybe the greatest Blue Jay of them all. He started his career there. I knew they were wanting to keep maybe both Biggio. Is it Biggio?
Bichette.
Bo Bichette. I'm sorry, Bo Bichette and him. I don't know now if they can keep the other one, but so I thought once the season started, they weren't going to be. That was a done deal. He was going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So that surprised me, and the amount of money, the third biggest contract, no deferred money. That surprised me. Because I thought maybe during the winter, each year that went by, it seems like that cost just kept going up. I think it's good for baseball. I mean, all rising tides. These contracts, the great players will get paid. But Vince, to answer your question, yes, it did surprise me, and it's what for 14 years.
Yes.
So he's gonna, unless he wants out of town and they want to get rid of him, he's gonna finish his career there. And I like that, a legendary player who plays his career with one team. I think that's good for the game, good for the Toronto fans, and I think everybody wins. So, but if they're going to win, they got about a 2-year window because their pitchers are going to be free agents. I don't know if they're going to be able to put a team around it with a $500 million player.
I was surprised. The 500 million didn't surprise me. The 14 years did.
Woo.
And I was thinking 10 to 12 years. A little bit less, yeah, somewhere where he would be making mid 40s. So that'd be about a 12-year contract. The 14-year contract does extend things out a couple more seasons. So his AAV is going to be lower than what I expected. But I know he could have gotten. There's my terrible English. I am from Southern Illinois, though. I know he could have received. So I know he could have received offers that were uh, much more lucrative. I'll just put it that way. But that just shows me he wants to stay in Toronto. I mean, I don't like Rogers Center. I think it's one of the worst ballparks in baseball. I don't know if I would want to stay there and play, but I know his father was very popular there. He's very popular there, and I think this is one occasion where he partially did this for the fans that he appreciates. So my admiration for him as a human being kind of goes up a little bit because you just saw it, going into free agent. I'm going to one of the big cities. I'm going to take over first base for Bryce Harper in Philadelphia, and he's going to move to DH and will be great and all this other stuff. But so kudos to him. He's going to get paid. We also had some extensions. Jackson Merrill gets a 9-year, $135 million extension with escalators for plate appearances each year. It can balloon up to $204 million. So I kind of like that contract too. Jackson Merrill, he just left Chicago after a weekend series. Very good player. And I think that the Padres did very well with this contract. And if I'm a player, it's not just gambling that you're going to stay on top of your game if you want to take it to free agency, but you're also gambling that you're going to stay healthy. So
Yeah.
if I'm a player like Jackson Merrill and I'm in my second year and they're offering me this extension, I'm jumping on it because it, to quote the late great Mike Norris when he was going through arbitration with the A's way back in the late 70s, early 80s, and I don't remember what the figures were, nothing like they were today. And he said, "Well, what's it matter? I'm either going to be rich or richer." So that's
I like that.
yeah. So what are your thoughts on Jackson Merrill staying in San Diego?
I think it's fantastic. We're only privy to what we see, the stats and seeing what kind of player he is. Vince, I like this kid. And I liked it that he said, you know what, we're going to buy some of the years and extend you out. A lot of teams are doing that these days, but he probably is one of those kids, first there, first one there, last one to stay, talks to the press, great with the fans. Uh, right now, of course, he's young, he's healthy, he plays all the time, but there's a love for the game, somebody who has like a passion. The front office sees that. And who do you want to invest your money in that will be the face of that team, one of the faces of the team? They got Tatis Jr. for many, many years. So Merrill and Tatis Jr. on that team as it looks for many years to come. I think the fans like that. San Diego here lately has really went out and got some free agents, and they're brought up some guys that are really good players. So I think it's good. I think it's good for everybody. And I was going to ask you, as being a Cub fan, and if you were the GM, what player would you want to give an extension to and keep him and know that he'd stay here and wouldn't face free agency? Is there? I mean, there's probably 4 or 5, but is there one in particular that you would make an extension to?
Yeah, I'd extend PCA if I could right now. The problem with the Cubs is they don't really have a history of doing too many extensions. And when they had all those talented players in the mid-teens, um, they would try to extend them, but none of them would bite. And of all of them, Baez got his money, but it's a good thing that he didn't accept the extension. Um, Bryant got his money. It's a good thing he didn't accept an extension. So,
You're right.
um, but like Rizzo, the Cubs offered him a contract, and he said, "No, I'm going to go try free agency." And now he's out of the game, and he would have made more money accepting the Cubs contract, which he thought was a slap in the face. But yeah, you're an aging first baseman.
That's one of the things I think about Vladimir Guerrero. He's a bigger man, 14 years. This is going to put him in near the 40 years old. And really, at some point, he only going, well, right now, he really just plays first base and DHs. And when he gets older, it's just bigger guys do not age as well. He's going to have to slim up probably. I mean, there's exceptions to every rule, but ooh, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at 40 years old, that might be a pretty rough go of it. I know Pujols, who I love, there at the end in his Angel contract, he was only hitting when he left St. Louis, he was hitting 331 lifetime, and by the time his lifetime batting average, I think, is like 291 now. You really have to go down to get a 331 average down to 291 or whatever it is. He went
Yeah.
through a tough time. So it's just tough. Now, for me, the Cardinal that I would make an extension to, that I love, maybe not the most. There's other talented guys on the team, but they're younger. I still think some of them have to prove they can do this year in, year out, and see what happens. But I think, as far as Brendan Donovan, that kid plays hard. I think he's a student of the game, gives you everything he has. You can move him anywhere in the diamond. And I knew Edman and Donovan were the two similar players. One was a little faster, one had a little more pop. And I knew we couldn't keep them both. But I would love to have Brendan Donovan buy some of those years before he can go free agent, extend him out a little bit, because he's one of the captains of the team. I've heard stories that him and Contreras and Arenado, the guy, and Sonny Gray are the guys, and they're veterans. Them other three guys are
Yeah.
veterans. Donovan's a young guy, so that's the guy I would extend. But this has been a ton of extensions this week, Vince, and a lot of teams. It seems like maybe that's a way of the future. I know Atlanta did that with a lot of their players. Arizona, Kento Marte, is it?
Marte,
6 more
yeah.
years. Yeah, he's 31 now, so he'll be there until he's 37. But the Red Sox, this young kid that plays center field and second base, really fast, looks good, real nice kid, Christian Campbell, 22 years old. He signed an 8-year contract, so they're buying some of that time. Garrett Crochet, the Red Sox offered him, gave him 6 years, 170 million. And you mentioned Jackson Merrill, and that was just this week. So even during the season, we're seeing some of these teams extend some of their bright young talent out, and I think that's good because baseball, you used to have a kid come up and he stay his whole career with one team. When free agency came, which is a good thing, I believe, and you don't see that as much these days. So I think it's good for baseball, Vince.
Yeah, Crochet, boy,
It's a little scary, pitching scary when you
yeah,
go a little further out.
he's had so many injuries, and he's only broken 100 innings once. And so that was kind of like, okay, I know he's got nasty stuff, but do you want him to be Jacob deGrom collecting all this money, barely being able to play? I don't know. I do, concerning the other ones that you mentioned, Christian Campbell, I did watch the Sunday night game and I watched the pregame show, and they did a little spotlight on him, and seemed like a very nice, humble guy.
Fast.
And he's got two options at the end of that 8 years that could, I don't know if they're clubs or his, but it could take it up to 100 million. So it'd be 10 years, 100 million. Uh, Marte, I think that's a good. He's still in his prime. Um, he's probably only got about 4 or 5 years left. They gave him 6, which is good. So he's going to make his money. So I think it's a good business decision from the team's perspective, and I think it's also a prudent decision from the player's perspective that I can get paid even if something happens to me, because let's face it, if you come up and you have a banging rookie year like Joe Charbonneau, and then within a couple years you're out of baseball because of back issues. I mean, I'm sure he would have loved to have had an extension like that to take care of himself.
Vince, we've had some players that we took extensions on, and it's never really worked out for the Cardinals. I love Matt Carpenter, and Matt was a doubles machine. Oscar Taveras passes away, and they asked him to hit more home runs, and his batting average went way down. He did what he could for the team, but there at the end, he just wasn't the same player anymore. The last couple of years on that contract. Paul DeYoung, second year up, he was hitting 32 home runs. We extended him out, and he just never, I don't know, they figured him out or something. He just wasn't the hitter he once was. So the Cardinals have gotten bitten by the extension thing. And I know that happens to everybody. You're taking a chance. But so far for us, it hasn't. And the Cardinals aren't a team that goes out and gets the top free agents. So I'm hoping that's maybe eventually we can tie up Jordan Walker, because I see him blooming. He's getting better this year. And of course, Mason Wynn and Victor Scott and Burley over there. And it's just fun. I love this young group of players the Cardinals have, and I like to see a few of them stick around for a long time. So that's my thought on that. And I like that part of the game right now where they're extending the young players.
Yeah. Well, the Dodgers, they just keep stockpiling talent. They traded with the A's, and they got Estuary Ruiz, who led the league in stolen bases a couple years ago, and they've stuck him in AAA to give themselves some outfield depth. Um, I don't know if I'm a guy who's having trouble staying on the roster with the Athletics. I don't know if I'd be happy to be traded to the Dodgers. Like, oh yeah, I think I'll take that Betts guy job. That's what I'll do. Or that Tavares guy, or Hernandez, Teoscar Hernandez. But yeah, they have room on the roster for him. Call him up, and he could probably uh, pinch run and steal some bases. And
Yeah, it's like being the third string quarterback for Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean, people are going to see you. If you get called in the game and do good, maybe another team will want you. You're playing a full of a packed house. They got the best attendance, biggest stadium. LA, Oakland's got what, 14,000 seat capacity, or Sacramento. So maybe being the seventh outfielder for the Dodgers is being better than being the fourth outfielder for the A's. I don't. That's my thought on that.
well, that's all I got on general news. You have
Well, I
anything
got
else?
yeah. There's some trends. We're lucky. So much. You watch baseball and you just you take things for granted. Like, he'll be around forever, and then one day they're gone. When we open these cards, Vince, I'm always like, that was a nice career, but my gosh, that guy hasn't played since '94, or whatever. So there's some trends going on. I just want to point out Aaron Judge. I know he gets all the acclaim. He plays for the mighty Yankees and one of the media capitals. The Aaron Judge already this year has 6 home runs and 17 RBIs, and this was Monday. He may be way past that by now. And
No,
my
they got
gosh,
shut out today.
they got shut out.
Yeah, Tarek Skubal shut him out for.
Oh,
And then
Screwball,
the
very
bullpen came.
good. Very
Yeah.
go Tigers. Very good. They're one of those teams I like to see get beat, but my gosh, this may be a fun summer watching this guy put up the points. I mean, right now the short window, my gosh, he's on a path to Cooperstown, but we'll see. But right now, my gosh. Uh, Also, the Texas Rangers, and I've said this every week for 4 weeks. I'm big on the Rangers. I went over and put $100 bet on them to go to win the American League. So I put my money where my mouth is. And Luke Jackson, last year he was with Atlanta. He is leading all of baseball with 5 saves. I wouldn't have thought that. And that team just got a little. You guys just played the Rangers, didn't you?
Yeah, we shut him
what
out
you?
yesterday. No, no problem.
Hey, the Cubs are good, but I think the Rangers are good too. Now, I don't think the Rangers are going to win the World Series, but I think they're a really good team, and this could be their year. And of course, I got Bochy coaching, so that's pretty cool. Vince, there is a guy I don't think I even paid attention to until this week. Of course, the Cardinals go up there. We'll talk about that in a little bit to Boston, and they didn't have, here in St. Louis, we didn't have good attendance at all. Opening day was a sellout, but games 2 through 6, very disappointing. But we went to Boston, and their crowds were down, but not like ours. But then we went to Pittsburgh, and they got snow flurries there. The teams that are like out west are in the south are doing pretty good, but the cold cities, a lot of tornado warnings, rain. I make an excuse. Hopefully, whenever it gets nice and school's out, the crowds will be much bigger. But right now it's been rough. But there's a kid in for Boston, their right fielder, Willier. I can't think of his last name. He's 25 years old. He's 5'10" and weighs 215, and he's hitting a cool 483. Has an incredible arm. Lars Nootbaar tried to take third on him, threw him out by a mile. Lars was like, "What?" Threw like a Dave Parker throw over to third.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah.
My gosh,
Is that the Abreu guy?
I believe that's his last name.
Yeah.
Willier Abreu looks good at the plate. I mean, he's a young kid. He's only 25 years old. 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, leading all of baseball with on base percentage 1.491, leading the league in batting average and on base percentage. He's only in his 3rd season. And the Yankees or the Red Sox, I'm just going to call this out. They look like a team that the Cardinals could be in a couple of years. Perhaps that's a team, because I look at them and that's a team that maybe we could be like that. Speed, power, of course, better pitching. And I thought our bullpen would be our strength, but they just slapped us around. I mean, we had a chance to win one, but couldn't throw any strikes. And my gosh, I was glad to get out of Boston, but that Boston team's pretty darn good. Um, there's some team statistics I've been looking at, and home runs. Of course, the Yankees are leading. The Dodgers, this is through Monday. The Dodgers are in second, and the Cubs are in third place. The Cubs are playing I mean, I could read almost any stat. The Cubs are in the top five in every offense, defense, pitching, everything. So, tip the cap to the Cubbies. Glad we're not playing them there right now. Hits, the Cubs are leading all of baseball in hits, and lo and behold, the Cardinals are second in hits. So how about that? I'll talk more about that. And third is the Red Sox. So the Cubs have 114 hits, the Cards 109, Red Sox 105. Walking, getting on base, the Cubs lead MLB in walks. I hope I'm not taking any of your
No.
Cub talk away. You love hearing about how good the Cubs are. The Cubs are leading baseball in walks with 69. The Red Sox have 49. They're 20 ahead of the second place team, and the Tigers have 46. And in stolen bases, the Cubs and the Pirates are tied with 21. Now, I know the Pirates run because they have to, but the Cubs are just that good. They can run if they want to. I think that's the difference. They can make the running game a part of their offense. The Pirates don't have much hitting, so they have to. So, not only are you going to get surprised, but they're going to be successful with it too. That's a big sign. And then the Padres have 18. So I just wanted to throw some of them stats out. And attendance early, there's been all kinds of things going on. There's been early starts. There's been rain. The schools are still in session, and just things going on. But right now, the four teams that just not doing so well with attendance at under 20,000 a game. The White Sox, the Miami Marlins through 7 games are averaging 14,881. The A's, but they're playing in a minor league park, 10,518 fans a game, and Tampa Bay is 16,046. So we have 4 of the 30 teams averaging below 20,000 fans. So and the Cardinals, we've got over 20,000 fans a game, but there's 4 that's under 20,000. It's early. I hope when the weather gets nicer and different team, wherever the Dodgers go or Paul Skeens pitches, people will show up to watch. But it's going to be something. I don't think the Cubs are going to have a problem this year. Their fans are very loyal and they're very good this year. But that's something to watch, these attendance figures. So I just find that fascinating, Vince, and that's all I have for general news right there.
You made a statement that made me think. You talked about players who you kind of forgot about, or whatever.
Yeah.
Sunday when I'm watching the Sunday night game, and they announced Trevor Story in the lineup, I thought,
He caught you off guard.
Around? I hadn't. So I looked at that he's barely played like the last 4 years. I think the most he's played is like 40 games. So I just figured
Really?
he had rode off into the sunset, but apparently not. So
yeah, and we're guys that there's 30 teams, 26 players on a team, and that kind of catches you off guard. I mean, you can't keep up with all of them, but there's young players, old players retiring, and people hurt. It's hard to keep track of all of them.
Yeah.
Well,
what's going on with the Cardinals?
Well, the Cardinal news. Let's see. We've got a couple injured players. It's cold. We got some pulled hammies. Things are going on. There's some players sometimes I thought, the IR, if they're struggling, put them on the IR. Just say they got an injury. Let's bring somebody else up. But right now, the ones that are actually hurt is Nolan Gorman, right hamstring, 10-day IR, and that's a shame. He wasn't getting to play a whole lot yet, but when he did come in, he did very well. I think they're trying to put him in good situations. Doesn't seem to be striking out as much. He still does strike out, but he looks good at the plate, and I know he's got 1 home run. But when he went down, we brought up Thomas Sajasi, who I am big on. This kid has come in, played second base, third base. He's not playing tonight, but I really like this kid. This is the kid we got one of the players we got the Jordan Montgomery deal. And keep an eye on this guy because I believe he's a Tommy Edmonds, Brendan Donovan type player. Plays all over the place, and man, he looks good at the plate. And he hit a ball completely out of the Fenway Park already, so that's pretty cool right there. So I like this
Nice.
kid. Yeah, that's nice. The other one hurt is Ivan Herrera. Oh, Ivan's been doing so good. He's hit all the way up through the. Now, last year he struggled a little bit. Defensively, he's worked on his defense, but he still his throw to second, his arm. I think they've stole like 5 bases off of him, and 2 have been close on throws, but 3 were they just swiped the bags. Now that could be a little on the pitcher as well. But Ivan was coming off of a 3 home run game. The Cardinals have never had a 3-run home run catcher hit 3 home runs in a game, and Vince only 20 catcher. I got a trivia. It's sort of a little trivia for you because you're brilliant on this trivia. I'm getting you ready for your big trivia contest. But there's only been 20 catchers hit 3 home runs in a game, and until Herrera did it, the Cubs and the Cardinals have never had a catcher hit 3 home runs in a game. We've had guys that played on our team at one time, but they didn't do it with the Cardinals. All right, out of those 20 players, one catcher did it twice, and another catcher did it 3 times. The one that did multiple times, you have watched both of these catchers play in your lifetime. I will say that's your first clue. Can you guess either one of them?
Well, I'll go the obvious, and I'll go Bench and Piazza.
Johnny Bench, right there, ladies and gentlemen. Bench gets these good. Okay, so it's not Piazza, but this guy's known to have a powerful bat. I will say he played in our lifetime and was on a World Series team. He
Hall
is
of
in the Hall.
Famer?
Yeah, I believe he's a Hall of Famer. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Because I was going to guess Darren Dalton, but he's not in the Hall of Fame. Pudge.
No. When he first came up, they called him the Kid. There's been a lot of players known as the Kid. Let's see. I know Jack Clark and him didn't get along. I know that one.
Jack Clark. I'm clueless.
Jack Gary Carter.
Ah,
Gary Carter hit 3 home runs twice in a game, and Johnny Bench hit 3 home runs 3 times. So how about that? That's a neat stat. And to hit 3 home runs in a game, my goodness, that's amazing. And then Herrera hit a home run the next day. So
yeah.
we've been getting a lot of production from our catchers, and I have to say, Vince, in my lifetime, the Cardinals have always brought up a ton of catchers, and the ones that don't make it on our team usually are starters or backups on another team. Carson Kelly's over with the guys now and from what I've seen, having a heck of a year. The Cardinal, the Red Sox always come up with hitting since in my whole lifetime. Where do they get these hitters? The Dodgers come up with pitching, and the Cardinals catchers. For some reason, we're like the school of catching or something like that. So a lot of it's luck, but we've had a lot of good catchers through the years. So Herrera is down, and we bring up this kid, Yohel Pozo, played with the Rangers at one time. And I'll be darned if he doesn't hit a home run the first game he plays. So, welcome to the Cardinals, Mr. Pozo.
The last night's game, early, I don't remember who the Pittsburgh runner was that he gunned out, but that was as good as pop and throw as you're going to see. It was fast. It was right on the money. If you draw up, this is how a catcher throws out a fast runner right there. And I thought, wow, tremendous arm and good pop time. So the throw impressed me more than the home run the other day.
Yeah, I think home runs, you run into those occasionally. But yeah, I'm happy to have him. And Podge just caught both ends of the double hitter because that's when Herrera got hurt. Evidently, it's a bone bruise, and Ricky Horton was saying that could be a month out. I know they put him on the 10-day DL, but that could be a long lingering injury. And it's such a shame because that kid was just starting to put it together. Now, the Cardinals, the first week we went 4-2. Hey, we swept the Twins. We lost a couple of games to the Angels and overtime. Listen to me, extra innings. I forgot how to talk, and we beat them one game. Our starters through the thing looked good. Matz was good in the bullpen, but Vince, the wheels came off. We found different ways to lose games this week. We went 1-6. Oh man, that hurts. And through this week, and I will say, I'm very impressed with the hitting. Part of the problem that I heard last year was we had the hitting coach, assistant hitting coach. We had older Cardinal players coming in and telling them, hey, I would do this, I would do that. And a lot of them just got confused. And Mr. Brown, our new hitting coach, come in and he said, Jordan Walker said, I love this guy. He told me, you just do what you do. You be you. That's basically it. I mean, they work on what the pitchers throw and stuff, but trust your instincts. Don't think about it. When you get to the ballpark, thinking's over. Just do. And they're changing their approaches with 2 strikes. Last year, last 2 years, we struck out an amazing amount of time. I did hear that Pujols was one of the guys that really recommend him and Freeze. They went, both guys kind of went to the Dodgers with not much gas in their tank, and he revitalized their careers when he coached for the Dodgers. And Pujols just went on and on about what a good hitting coach this guy was. Now, I heard Bernie Miklasz say, we got Cardinal fans, Vince. Seems like this year, usually it's 10% of the fans ain't happy with nothing. This year, it seems more like 18% of the fans. But, this guy got fired by the Seattle Mariners. Well, hey, if you try anything, you're going to fail a few for some reason. And the Mariners don't go out and get no hitting. They got all pitching. So I don't know what he had to work with there, but I'm very happy he's with us. It's a blessing. I like how he's over talking to the different players, and everyone's doing good. The first week, Wynn and Contreras struggled. Everybody else was hitting the cover off the ball. And last night, the Cardinals were 1 hit away from setting a record with 10 hits in 10 straight games. But we only got 9. But I'm just happy with the approach. Bunting. There was a game where, when's the last time you've seen 2 players get back-to-back on hit bunting the ball down the line? Of course, it's Victor Scott and Wynn, who's got speed. So that's a part of the game. Ciani went up trying to bunt off of Skeens tonight. And, man, if I'm facing Skeens, I'll do anything I can to try to get on base. I like that. I haven't seen a whole lot of hit and running, but I know the Cardinals are just working on some different things, and I appreciate it so much. Do I think we're going to win the division? No, but I think maybe we could give them a fight for second place, something like that, to be honest with you. But it's going to be so fun to watch all these guys come up. And our starting, so hitting, I'm happy. Vince, our starting pitching, Libator and Palante, seems like they still walk too many and seem to have a bad inning here and there, and it's killed them. Sonny Gray, his fastball is not what it used to be, but he is a smart pitcher and seems to be getting a lot of strikeouts. One of the top strikeout pitchers in the early going. Fetty, he's been going deep into games, giving you everything he's got, but he's really not a swing and miss guy. And Michaelis, Vince, I try to be positive, but Vince, maybe a couple more starts, but if he can't pick it up from here, it may be time to move along from Miles Michaelis. And what a nice guy. I hate to say anything bad about any player because he's much, much better than I ever could have been. But even now, he's way better than I am. But there comes a time sometimes when people just don't have it anymore. I know he's out there giving you his best, but Vince, they're just fouling off. He's not getting it past anybody. He's throwing outside, and they're just taking the ball to the other way. So it's sad to say, but maybe it's time to eat that year and bring up one of the new guys. And I might give them 2 more. I know those 18% don't even want to ever see him in a Cardinal uniform again. But if they see something and are working on something, maybe a start or 2. But if he doesn't get it right here real quick, I probably would move on from him. And our bullpen, which I thought was going to be our strength, it just seems, how the bullpen is, Vince. It only takes one guy not having a good game, and the whole thing blows up. And right now, Roycroft and Helsley, you can throw 100 miles an hour, but if you can't get it over the plate, what good is it? Roycroft just was so frustrating because he kept throwing a ball that just kind of slide out of the strike zone. He threw it over and over and over with the same results. So that being said, I think our bullpen can be fixed. I probably would move on from Miles Michaelis and move up McCreevy. And the thing about that, though, people said they should have took him out earlier. McCreevy got rocked too. The Red Sox hit everybody we sent out there, so it wasn't that so much. But I would probably bring McCreevy up and see what we got, because right now the starting pitching just is not getting it done. So that was us. We went 1-6, and I could talk about the games individually, but we went 4-2 at home, which is promising, and then we go on the road, and Boston just slapped us around. We had a shot to win one of the games and blew it in extra innings, and then right now we're playing the Pirates. So and they won the first game and clearly beat us in that game. So that's it, Vince. And we've got this weekend, I think we finished with the Pirates, got a day off. We play the Phillies, which they're a good team. And then we have the Astros coming to town. So Phillies and Astros coming to town after we play 2 more in Pittsburgh. So that's it for Cardinal news right there. But the hitting is a lot of promise coming out of our hitting.
Well, we went 4-2 this week. Very good week. And if you take away the first 2 games in Japan, we would be 8-3. But they count, so we're not 8-3. We're 8-5. This week, Kyle Tucker was named National League Player of the Week. Kudos to Kyle Tucker.
What a week!
And I have watched him close for. I thought that the best pure hitter in baseball was Juan Soto. I think Tucker is better than Soto. Hitting, he's got more power than Soto. He's got more speed on the base, and he's a much better defender in the outfield. He's Gold Glove caliber. I am just so impressed with him, and I know I got in here and gushed last week, and I'm going to gush again this week. He had a terrible spring, and people were like, "Oh gosh, got ripped off." And Cam Smith made the opening day roster, and Cam Smith is as we got ripped off, blah blah blah. And he just, I wasn't worried in the spring because he didn't look bad. He just hits weren't coming. He was taking his walks, and he was playing 4 innings, 5 innings a game, and then sitting down, and he's like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. He was right. He's fine. So very good. You mentioned that we have 21 stolen bases so far. And that's just not one player. We got PCA running. We've got Horner running. Hap stole a base last night. Suzuki stole a base last night. Tucker has stolen a couple bases. We have gotten speed from different places. And it's an indication that this is kind of like what Craig Counsell wants. They don't run in situations where it's not looking good. If there's a great catcher with a pitcher with a fast delivery to home, they're not running. They're picking their spots, which is giving them this tremendously high percentage, 21 of 22. Woo. And Birdie has stolen 4 or 5 bases. He stole his 100th career base last night.
Hey.
And he's 35, and he still runs like the wind. So it's really cool to watch this offense click, because it's not just the power, it's not just the walks that we're taking, it's the creating of runs that we do, which is a lot of fun to watch. This past week, Ian Happ played his 1,000th game as a Chicago Cub.
Hey, all right.
And let me just quickly go through the week. Put this aside because I don't have a desk in front of me. So last Tuesday night, we won 7-4 against the A's. Tucker and Suzuki both homered. Steele won 6 2/3 innings, 4 earned runs to get the win. Presley got a second save. Um, then the then on Wednesday we beat the Athletics 10-2. Suzuki had a home run. PCA, Shaw, 2 hits each. Half couple hits. Suzuki actually had 3 hits in that game. And Tyone got the win, 6 innings, 2 runs. Very good. So then after being off on Thursday, we had the Padres come into town who were undefeated. The first game we won 3-1, Hap a couple hits. Justin Turner had a pinch hit late in the game to seal the victory. Imanaga, 7 innings, 1 run. He's 2-0 with an ERA of 0.98, doing great. Presley had his third save. Awesome. Then Saturday, we beat the Padres 7-1. Swanson had a home run, a couple of hits. Horner, a couple of hits. Carson Kelly hit another home run. He had 2 hits. And in that game, Matthew Boyd, 6 innings of shutout ball. He doesn't have an ERA yet. He is 1-0 for us in 2 games pitched. He has looked great. That may be, if he stays healthy, that's going to be a steal that we got in free agency.
He was a good pitcher with the Tigers. I couldn't believe you guys got him. I was like, oh man, not another good one.
Just all the injuries. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's true.
So Sunday we are actually up on the Padres after 2 innings, 7-3, and we lost 8-7. Tucker did have a home run, Horner 3 hits. The bullpen was shaky, and it was 7-7 in the bottom of the eighth, the top of the ninth, and there was a runner on third and on first, and there was a double play ball hit. So we're going to turn 2, and on the throw to first, Justin Turner dropped the ball. So the Padres scored, and then we didn't score after that. What was agitating is that we did pinch hit Bush earlier in the game, late in the game, and Bush should have stayed in and played first base. He's an excellent first baseman. Justin Turner is just, I don't know why Counsell did not, when you're up, you got to get the defense in there.
You're right. Yeah,
you gave Bush a day off, and he had a pinch hit appearance, keep him in the game, keep him at first. So I put that on Counsell. We may not have won the game, but Counsell certainly should have put Bush at first. But in that game, Ben Brown started, 4 innings, 5 earned runs, 4 walks. His stuff was electric, but he just wasn't throwing the ball over the plate, and so they were kind of sitting on fastballs. And Teal came in, pitched 2/3 of an inning, and walked 2 more people, and that bothers me. Presley got the loss. Should have had a better fate though. And then last night, the Texas Rangers came in. We won 7-0. Hap had 3 RBIs. Tucker, Suzuki, Bush, and Amaya each had 2 hits. And Justin Steele, 7 shutout innings, only 3 hits. Justin Steele is already 3-1 because he had that early game in Japan and lost that, and then he's had 3 games since. So he's 3-1. So we did steal 5 bases that game. So that was the Cubs week. It's looking good so far, but we are still in the single-digit days of April, so it's much too early to be throwing a party. But it's nice to get out of the blocks good, and let's hope that we can take that. If we get through this month and we're somewhere hovering at 500. I'm going to be very happy. Our May schedule, our month of April is the hardest 1-month schedule of anybody in baseball. But then our May schedule is very
lights up. Yeah.
Hopefully we can hang in there. I've been impressed. We've been playing the good teams very tough. Taking 3 of 4 in Arizona. The Padres come in, take 2 of 3. Won the first game against Texas, so I'm very happy with how we're doing so far.
Anything you're a little concerned about? What middle relief?
Yeah, the
Anything?
bullpen.
Okay.
Cade Horton had a start and he looked fantastic in AAA, 6 strikeouts. Um, I'm not worried about the quality of the arms because I know we've got good arms. Palencia, we have Tyson Miller on the IL right now. We have Horton and Killian in AAA. We've got guys who can come in and throw swing and miss stuff. I just hope we don't do what we did last year and 2 years ago, stick with the veterans too long and put ourselves in a big hole. Because right now, as I've seen this team for a couple of weeks, we don't have any weaknesses. We are excellent hitting. Starting pitching is very good. We've got great speed. Our defense may be the best in Major League Baseball.
Very good.
But relief pitching will kill you.
Yes.
It's so hard to get those last 6 outs in a baseball game. And I just don't have the confidence. I have confidence in Hodge when he comes in the 8th. Presley's very hittable. And the guys going leading up to Hodge have been very hittable too. Colin Ray's been good though. Very pleased with him. Now he's just been low leverage stuff, but I'm at least what I've seen with them.
Very nice. In those games where you're ahead and the bullpen blows it, those are the toughest games to get over. You fight for 7 innings, and then all of a sudden, and we've had a couple already, and you're like, oh, but that's a game. You got to get up the next day and do it all over again and try to be positive about it. But yeah, but I tell you what, Helsley blew a save for us, but I would put what are you going to do? He's the best one we got. Stay out there, and you'll get him next time. Nobody's perfect. Even Mariano Rivera gave up a thing, I think. But I'll tell you what, Chapman, who played for you guys and the Yankees, that guy still throws 103 miles an hour, and he's amazing. He's still out there doing it.
You know who else still throws 103 miles an hour?
Is it Jeremy Connor? That's what I'm putting my money on.
He has not lost his fastball. Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. We thought we'd do a top 10.
People like our top 10s.
And we're going to do our favorite play-by-play / commentators in our lifetime. And this got much more difficult because I didn't have room for Vin Scully. Vin Scully, who, if you ask me who's the best, I would have put him in there. But as far as my favorite, being, I watched a lot of Cub games, and it's full of Cub announcers.
Oh, that's what I understand. Yeah.
So, but I did have fun putting this together.
I did too.
So I'm going to go first because I have to do the obvious one. My number 10, Vince Lloyd. Who I'm named after. He did games for the Cubs from 53 to 83. He also did some Bulls games and also did the White Sox games because there was a time where WGN would do both Cubs and White Sox games and not televise all of them. So they would, Jack Brickhouse and Vince Lloyd would do some White Sox games. But what Vince Lloyd is most known for was he spent 20 years in the radio booth with Lou Boudreau, and they were a fantastic team. Vince Lloyd doing the play-by-play, Lou Boudreau doing the commentating, and Lou Boudreau was a very intelligent, thoughtful person, and he didn't have the greatest personality in the world, but boy, he could break down a game like nobody else. And Vince Lloyd, his I guess signature, you have Harry Carey, Holy Cow, and We have a few other Holy Toledo. I think that was Tom Brenneman. But Vince Lloyd, his deal was Holy Mackerel. So,
He was holding mackerel.
so I can't say that he was like the great, and I have great memories of him. But I was named after him, so I had to put him in there. Number 10, Vince Lloyd.
Very good. Well, my number 10, and Vince, I don't know if I follow the same directions. I have some recordings of older announcers that I absolutely love. So I have a couple that's not in my. I was born December of '63. Oh, what a time for you and me! But I have a few that was before 1963. Well, maybe not. I'll have to check this out here.
You were born in December 1963?
Yes.
Oh, what a night.
Yeah, that's what my mom said. My number 10 is the voice of the Philadelphia Phillies, Harry Callis. Harry always had a cigarette going. He had that deep growl. And 38 years, he was the voice of the Philadelphia Phillies. And he kind of exemplified the city. Tough city, probably tough to play in, probably tough to announce. But Harry Callis was their guy. But the thing, too, this is a little icing on the cake. Harry Callis, to me, was the voice of the NFL and NFL films. You can't hear the words, the Quagmire of Green Bay, without thinking of Harry Callis and all those great orchestra music and Harry Callis talking over about the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the against the Oakland Raiders. So anyway, my number 10, and he's passed away now. God love you, Harry Callis, is Mr. Harry Callis from Philadelphia.
Very good.
And he's from Illinois. Naperville, Illinois is where he was born.
Did not know that. My number 9 was what I would call the voice of my childhood in the summers, because until I was in middle school, we didn't have cable, so I didn't watch any Cub games, and the Cardinals didn't televise a whole lot of games back then. So the big thing was in the summer, you had Monday Night Baseball. But the big thing for me was the Saturday game of the week on NBC. So my number 9 is Tony Kubek, who started the NBC game of the week in 1966. And he stopped that in the, I think, early 80s. But he went on to keep working until 1989, doing various other teams. He called the NBC game of the week when I was growing up, and he also worked a lot of World Series and playoff games. So he had a very distinctive voice. So when I watch an old thing and I see hear Tony Kubek, oh man, that takes you back home. From 1977 through 1989, he was the color commentator for the Blue Jays. So that's where he finished out his career. So, and if you haven't heard Tony Kubek, go back and listen to some of his calls. Very distinctive voice. And when I hear that voice, it takes me back to being a little kid. Didn't matter who was playing. I was watching the Saturday game of the week. And after the game of the week, first I watched cartoons. And then I watched the Saturday game of the week. Then after that, let's go out and play baseball, go swimming, knock off a liquor store, whatever we did. And we saw one of these.
Oh, well, my number 9, and this guy to me is a hero, Bob Uecker. Bob Uecker, the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers, from Wisconsin, lived in Wisconsin. He announced for the Brewers for 54 years, and even in his last year of life, he was still their announcer. You couldn't walk through Brewer Stadium without in the concourse getting a drink or something to eat without hearing his voice. Bob was a showman. He was one of the reasons, sometimes people say, oh, there's a rain delay. Well, if you were listening on the radio, you would hear Jack Bucket, Mike Shannon, and Bob Uecker, if we were lucky enough to play the Brewers, and they would just sit there and tell stories, and Uecker would get Buck and Shannon laughing, and it was just, and me and my grandpa would sit there and listen to him, and we'd be laughing with them, and it was just a good time. And, these guys that were with teams for years and years, I don't know if we're going to see that kind of longevity anymore. You may not, but Bob Uecker was just so special. And he's also in the WWF Hall of Fame. So I just threw that out there too. But Bob Uecker is my number 9.
Okay, very good. Thought about Bob, didn't put him on there. My number eight is kind of like my number nine. He is another voice of my childhood growing up, and that's St. Louis's own Joe Garagiola. Um,
Oh,
he started on KMOX in 1955 and calling Cardinal games. And but what I remember him for was he would be on the game of a week a lot of times, and he also did a lot of postseasons. But what I like about Joe um, was that he kind of had a child-friendly way of announcing games, while commentating games. I remember the the Royals in 1980, UL Washington, he would have a toothpick in his mouth. And during the World Series, UL Washington goes to bat, and Joe says, for all you kids out there, do not put a toothpick in your mouth when you play baseball. It's dangerous. It's okay for UL to do. He didn't throw him under the bus. He said, but that's something I don't recommend that you do. One of the other things that I really admire Joe Garagiola about, but a lot of people think that, yeah, men aren't men anymore. He was very instrumental in getting players away from tobacco, from chew. And he got to the point where he spearheaded that now Major League Baseball, none of them have chew in the dugout. It's all sunflower seeds and bubble gum and stuff like that. And I mean, you and I remember a day where everybody had chew and they're spitting it out, and there's this scene in The Naked Gun where everybody's spitting out their chew. But Joe, for an old school guy from the Hill in St. Louis to really spearhead, we need to get this out of the game when it was so entrenched in the game, and he stuck with it, and they finally completely eradicated it. He also did some commentating for the Angels and finished his career with the Diamondbacks. And Joe Garagiola was just a celebrity. He's on the Dean Martin roast. He was on the Today Show. Just a household name at one time. And his brother Mickey was the ring announcer for Wrestling at the Chase. I knew you were going to bring it up, so I had to.
yeah, well, I had it on deck. I had it on deck. Very good, Vince. Joe Garagiola is very good. I love that guy. I had a patient that his room was done in all in Cardinals, and on top of his closet, he had a picture of Joe Garagiola signed too. So that was kind of cool. I always walked in there all the time and see Joe Garagiola. Well, my number eight, it's really a team, but the announcer is John Miller. And John Miller used to do the ESPN, I believe, Sunday night games from 1990 to 2010 with the great Joe Morgan. They were a great team, a lot of laughs. I like that. I like it when you can tell there's a passion for the game. Joe was so smart and always thinking ahead of the game, and they just worked good together. They give each other time to talk, and you never know what they were going to talk about. It was always a good time for 20 years. I love the John Miller doing that. Now he's the voice of the Giants, and he's still doing baseball. He does impressions, always has a smile on his face, and hey, us bald fat guys have to stick together. He gives me something to aim for. John Miller did, maybe too. But anyway, my number eight is John Miller and Joe Morgan when they were together for those 20 years.
Nice, nice. Well, my number seven is an obscure guy. I don't know if very many people in this area know of him. His name was Jack Buck.
Yes.
And he started for doing Cardinal games in 1954, and he went till 2000. Jack is a legend in St. Louis, and it's the little stories that you hear about him. Um, a friend of mine, his brother worked at the one of the casinos, and Jack would come in, and he said it didn't matter if Jack won or if he lost a lot of money sometimes. Um, when Jack was done, he would take $100 bill, stuff it in his pocket, say, "You did a great job, dealer." And you hear all kinds of stories like that about Jack Buck. And I remember listening to an interview with Joe Buck, and Jack Buck used to do Christmas from his house and broadcast it on KMOX. And Joe Buck was talking about, people ask, did that ruin Christmas for you? He said, that's all I knew at Christmas, so it's not like it was ruined. But my dad just felt such a connection to this city that he felt obligated to be that voice of Christmas on KMOX, and little things like that. That he was a very good, caring man, and one of my probably top 20 baseball books that I've read is the Jack Buck book. Just fantastic.
By Bob Bragg. Did Bob Bragg write that? Was that the one?
Probably.
Yeah. I think I have that one too. Well, my number 7, and might be before my time. The great Dizzy Dean. Dizzy's an Arkansas fella. I'm an Arkansas fella. Dizzy was a great player. He shined bright for a short time, and he was just a character. He was eccentric. He would sing. He didn't speak good English, but he had a passion for the game, and everybody liked him except for people who were big on talking proper English. He teamed up with Pee Wee Reese. He did a lot of years with the Cardinals, and then he also did like national games and things like that. But his longtime partner was Pee Wee Reese, and just a character and Hall of Famer. And I love the Dean. If you get a chance, listen to some of the old recordings. Now, it's kind of dated. It almost sounds like the Grand Ole Opry or something. But I would liken Dizzy Dean as being a character as if you ever listen to a broadcast and Terry Bradshaw is talking about NFL. He was sort of like a Terry Bradshaw kind of guy, just big and laughing and having a good time. So my number 7 was Dizzy Dean.
All right. My number 6 is Jimmy Pearsall, who had the shortest career as a commentator. He only worked from 72 till 81, and then nobody would hire him because he was so controversial. He worked for the A's and for the Rangers, and then from 77 through 81, he was with the White Sox in the booth with Harry Carey, and that's where I used to listen to him. Jimmy did not have a filter, which made him excellent.
Yes.
He got in trouble once for talking about the team, saying with our team, every ground ball is an adventure, which it was. They were a bad team. And then, management got on him for that. And then what really got him in trouble was the time the camera was showing some of the players' wives. And they said, well, something to the effect, well, they're just here to pick up the check. It's payday. And he got suspended for that one. So he did not have a filter, and this just encapsulates who he was. You see an ump miss a call now, and you may hear the commentator say, "Oh, that looks safe to me,"
Yeah.
Of course, now they got replay, so things aren't, as like they used to be. But there was a game, the White Sox are playing Detroit, and Detroit had Richie Hebner at the time.
I remember.
And now this is Detroit hitting. Hebner hits a slow ground ball, and he's running to first, and he dives into first, and he's out. It's a close play, but he is out. And he took his helmet and he slammed it on the ground. Not at an umpire, just, damn it, I thought I would have beat it. So he's picking up his helmet, and the umpire tosses him out. And Jimmy Pearsall goes nuts in the booth. I don't care if he is with the other team. That's a player who's got passion, who he wasn't saying anything to the umpire. He's mad because he was out. And so the umpire has to be like Napoleon. So he starts calling the umpire Napoleon the rest of the game. Go ahead, Napoleon, call him out. Go ahead, Napoleon. Jeez, Diesel. So he was just a character. Jimmy Pearsall. And we've talked about him quite a bit. We watched the movie Fear Strikes Out about him. So
yes. Yeah, Anthony Hopkins played him. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, okay. My number 6, it's a 3-man booth. But the announcer, the commentator is Gary Nolan. But his two color guys are Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez. And to be honest, these days they may be the best in the business. They're fantastic. When I get a chance, when I have Sirius Radio and the Mets are on, they commentate for the Mets. They've been a team since 2006. Ron Darling is on MLB a lot, and Keith Hernandez, of course, was loved here in St. Louis and adored in New York. They're so insightful. Ron Darling is very smart, a little dry. Keith Hernandez, kind of too, but Nolan's got that professional voice. And I just like the way they talk about the game. And they're so popular in Queens that Jerry Seinfeld, who's probably the biggest celebrity Met fan, they said, would you rather win the series next year, but you can't have those announcers, or would you rather, have a good year but have those announcers? He goes, oh, I'll take those announcers any day. I love listening to them on the radio. So baseball's alive and well, and this is one of the best teams today is the New York Mets. That team right there, the three-headed monster. And if you get a chance, listen to them. They're very fun to listen to. So anyway, that's my number 6.
Well, we're into the top 5, and all of my top 5 have Cub roots. So,
okay. Hey, that's what you grew up listening to. I understand.
Number 5 is Harry Carey. I'm not as big as a Harry Carey fan as other people. I'm sure when he was younger, he was really good, but I've just heard him say too many goofy things. Like when Dave Concepcion lost the ball in the sun. I don't get it. He's from the Caribbean where the sun shines every day. How does he lose a ball in the sun?
That's a good Harry Careyism. Yeah.
Some of the things that he would say were just kind of goofy. But when I saw him, at least, in his older years from the White Sox through the Cubs, he wasn't that good. This was in the early 90s, so it was years before he passed away. Looking at the strikeout leaders, they had it on the TV, and there's Bennis from South Dakota. SD stands for San Diego. But anyway, Harry started in 45, did the Cards, Browns. Then he went 1 year with the A's after the Cardinals fired him. Then he did his years with the White Sox, which is where I started watching him, and then he went to the Cubs. But Harry, I don't think he's a great announcer, but he's more of an icon.
Yes.
He clearly lost his fastball, which a lot of them do. And I wish some of them would retire a little earlier, like Harry should have retired earlier, but kept him around because he's an icon. So I had to put him in there, so I got him at number 5.
Very good. Harry Carey, everybody knows him. Even if they never listened to him, everybody knows who Harry Carey is. And he's sort of the mayor of Chicago for all those years. That people just loved him. And he has a statue outside. He had a bar, and I don't think that guy probably ever had to buy a beer in Chicago. Somebody was always buying him one. Well, number 5 for me is the current KMOX team of John Rooney and Ricky Horton. Ricky Horton, class guy. We had Jeff Crittenden on the other day, who got to meet him when he went to that baseball camp, and he said Ricky Horton may be the nicest person I've ever met. Ricky Horton, great guy, and him and Rooney on the radio, a very nice team. And like our friend Ray Hartman says, he loves listening to the game rather than watching the game. This year, I have gotten into listening to Rooney and Horton and watching the game on TV because I just love them so much. They're a very good team. They tell great stories. They build up the other team too and talk about these great players. It's not like we're the Cardinals and they stink. No, this is going to be a tough one here. man, this guy hits right. He's really good. I feel like I learn a lot more in 3 hours of listening to them two. And I remember in the old days where it was bucket bat and they talked to the announcers, they talked to the coach after the game and everything. Well, they handle that still, and they do just as good job. KMOX is they're in good hands, and now we got them on FM radio too. But Rooney has been in the game for a long, long time. I got it written down here. He's been Horton's been 29 years with St. Louis. He'd come on and do part-time on TV and things like that, but now he's been the voice for 6 years with Rooney, and I just absolutely love him. 18 years Rooney was with the White Sox, and he's coming up on 20 with the Cardinals. So he's been around a long time, and I think he's a class guy, and I just don't think that he gets the credit he deserves because he came after Jack Buck. But I love him. I think he's fantastic, and it's a joy listening to him on the radio. So that's my number 5 right there.
Very good. My number 4 is former Cubs color commentator and current White Sox color commentator, Steve Stone. Steve Stone is the perfect blend of baseball knowledge, likability, and humor. It's all there in one good package. And he kind of got ran out of Wrigley whenever the 04 team underperformed, and he openly criticized them, and players had a revolt and got rid of him, which kind of sucked because he was just telling the truth that this is a very talented team that should be in the playoffs, and they've completely underperformed. So I don't have a problem with that. He's just calling it like he saw it, which was true. Couple Steve Stone things. I'm watching the game, and Harry and Steve are in the booth, and Jody Davis drove in like 6 runs. And so Harry's like, I wonder who's got the most RBIs as a catcher in Cub history. So they looked up Heine Zimmerman with 7. Oh, okay. And then Harry said, isn't he known for chasing home the winning run of a World Series in like 1906? And Steve, without breaking stride, said, I think he's known for the player. I think he's known as the player with the most RBIs who has the name of Heine, which was hilarious. So, and then another time, there's a bat that's on the field, like a real the animal bat, and so they're having to pause. And Steve said, "Yeah, it's a good thing that they found that, and they're getting it off the field now, because if a player would have hit that," and I'm thinking he's going to say something like, "That's a fine, because it's a protected animal." He said, "We'd have had a broken bat single." But he's a great commentator. He's got some good wit, and he's very engaging. So happy.
Yeah, I think we're going to have some of the same ones here in our top 5. My number 4 is Bob Costas. And he has St. Louis roots. He used to do the St. Louis Spirits basketball team. Yeah, he did wrestling. He did, of course, football, and commentated on a lot of baseball. It doesn't seem like Bob's doing as much as he used to. Olympics, big in the Olympics, very articulate, very smart. I'm like, gosh, this guy's smart. But I like Bob Costas the best when he's teamed with Jim Cott. They did a lot of games of the week, and Jim's, my gosh, 4 decades of baseball. Probably the man with the best posture I've ever seen. He's always standing straight up. He's always into nutrition. I don't know how old Jim is now, but he looks fantastic. And then, of course, Bob Costas always had a boyish look, but it seems like anytime he would just get on these paragraphs of knowledge, and he was great with pop culture. He knew he might bring something out about Warren G. Harding and talk about Seinfeld in the same breath. It's sort of like a Dennis Miller type fella. Has a passion for the game. Jim Codd, just a student of the game, played with almost everybody. And together, those two were really good. And Bob was so good, he kind of just, Jim, I have trouble getting a word in edgewise. but he was such a good announcer. You know, him and Jim could keep up with him, and they worked really good together. And like, to me, it's important. You learn something, it's enjoyable, and they're funny. So I'm going to go with Bob Costas at my number 4.
My number 3 is Jack Brickhouse, who did Cubs Sox games from 1940 till 1981. He is, I think he still may hold the record of the most games broadcast, over 5,000.
Wow.
But he was one of the voices when I would watch Cub games when I was a kid. Jack Brickhouse did the TV side, and fantastic. Very vanilla. Didn't have great wit or anything. Just a likable guy, and very good at doing the play-by-play. And you will appreciate this. Besides baseball, he also did basketball. He did a little football and some professional wrestling.
Brickhouse. When I think of the Cubs, that's one of the first. I mean, I think of Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, Rick Sutcliffe. There's certain guys that I think of, but I always think of Harry Carey, Jack Brickhouse. There's like my top 5 right there. I think of just off the top of my head, Ryan Sandberg, guys like that. You know, that's when I think of that franchise. That's the people I think of. Well, speaking of the Cubs, my number 3, and you went over a while ago, is Steve Stone, and it's the Harry Carey years. As a kid, my grandparents had cable before. I mean, I don't think we ever had cable. I'd go down there in the summers, and in the day games, you got to see WGN would carry the Cubs, and there'd be Steve Stone and Harry Carey. Oh my gosh. And I've got them down doing it from 1983 to 2001, I believe, or 4 right there. And they were just a great team. You went on about that a while ago, but Harry was such a character and would hold court. But Steve was just, man, he just was so calm and cool and collective and funny. And yeah, that's right, Harry. And it was almost 50-50. I love listening to them and just the players warming up and hearing them talk about the upcoming game as much as watching the game. So Steve Stone was a big impact on me with Harry Carey, and that's almost two opposites that somehow it worked in the booth for all those years.
Yeah. My number 2 is still working for the Cubs. He's been announcing games since 1997, started with the Astros, has been with the Cubs the last 13 years, I think. Jim DeShays. Um, much like Steve Stone, he is articulate. He knows how to break down the game very well. And he is also has a very good sense of humor. And what is impressive with Jim DeShays is he worked with Len Casper, who was also very good, but did not make my list. And then when Len Casper went to do the Sox games on the radio, Boog Sciambi came in, completely different person, completely different personality. And Jim figured out a way to work with both of them. And I've seen him in the booth with, because Boog does a lot of national games and stuff like that. No matter who's doing the play-by-play, Jim slides in there very well. And I think he is one of the few commentators. All commentators think that they can manage, but I think he could actually manage because he's likable, and he's also, with his sense of humor, he's got a seriousness about him. So I think he's probably got all the qualities that would have made to be a good manager, but in his 60s now, I'm sure he's not looking to do that. But just fantastic. When he first came over from Houston, I remembered him as a pitcher, and I thought, I wonder if this guy's any good in the booth. He was fantastic, and still love to listen to Jim DeShays even today.
Very nice. My number 2 is Jack Buck. You said some very wonderful things about Jack. And Jack was like the voice of KMOX. He was everywhere. I've worked places, I've met people, and some people just say, "Hey, I got a Jack Buck story." And he went to the VA and brought him Thanksgiving, and no one, and he didn't take the camera people with him. He would just go do it. Jack Buck's such a nice guy, and man, did a great thing. I mean, he was so popular in St. Louis, and there's not a summer go by for all those years that you didn't get to hear Jack and Mike on the radio. And it was just, I don't know, it's just a part of growing up. And at the end of the year, you'd be kind of sad because you're like, oh man, we can't season. And the Cardinals, most part, didn't make the playoff. But that was the end of hearing Mike Shannon and Jack Buck. And it was just, for I think it was 30 years we had those two together. I kind of, yeah, 30 years together. Jack did Cardinal baseball for 48 years, and Mike stuck around for 50. And they're both gone now. And I kind of like that to be like Stan and Red and Lou and Bob and just these great Cardinal players that are gone now, and Mike and Jack's gone too. So anyway, but I remember Jack Buck was one of the leading people on getting us this new ballpark, and I was like, no, I love the old ballpark, all the memories, everything going on with it. But Mike goes, you guys will be so happy when you get that new ballpark. So it is. It's a very nice ballpark, and it's very cool. It's a lot better than our old ballpark, but I didn't want to give it up. But anyway, Jack Buck. I could go on and on talking about him, but I just love the guy. So he's my number 2.
All right. My number 1 is the Ford Frick Award winner from last year. Actually, it's been 2 years ago. So last year, 2 years ago. Pat Hughes, who does the play-by-play on the radio side for the Cubs. He started his career in '83 calling Twins games, and then he moved to the Brewers, and he's been with the Cubs for about the last 18 years, I think it is. Pat Hughes is once more, he's great at doing the play-by-play, and he works well when he works well all the time, but when he has his guys in the booth with him, it's magic. And first, when he got there, he was in the booth with Ron Santo, and they just had a love for each other and would make each other laugh. Well, Pat mostly making Ron laugh because it was easy to make Santo laugh. And I actually have a CD that my dad got me about 10 years ago called The Pat and Ron Show. And it's just excerpts from them calling games and some of the funny things, like the time that Ron Santos' toupee caught on fire while they were standing up for the national anthem. So,
oh my gosh!
So, and when Ron passed away, Ron Coomer went to the booth, and it was a very smooth transition from Santo to Coomer, and Pat was there for the whole thing, and he's kind of he's a low key guy. He doesn't seek a lot of attention or anything like that, so he kind of goes under the radar. So when he was announced as a Ford Frick winner, no Cub fan was surprised, but there was a lot of people who were like, "Who?" Because a lot of people didn't know who he was. A lot of people watch Cub games on TV. Not a whole lot are listening to the radio except for the hardcore fans, and we know who Pat Hughes is. So, number 1, Pat Hughes, and I am so happy I got to visit the Hall of Fame the year he was inducted. Didn't get to see him inducted, but I did visit the year he was inducted. So, awesome.
Very cool. I didn't know much about him either, and I'm a diehard fan, so I'm gonna check in on him and check out some of his style, his style. Well, my number 1, Vince Scully. And Vince Scully was a broadcaster for the Dodgers in Brooklyn, all the way into Los Angeles, 1950 to 2016. 67 years. And baseball, it's kind of timeless. Yes, things changed, but not really. It's still basically the same game. Batting helmets now, torpedo bats, but still basically the same game. Move the runner over, choke up, just put it in the hole, figure out, see if the pitcher's giving any tails. It's a great game. And with Vince Scully, he was solo. He was the only man in the booth. You know how much trust you have to have because somebody might just go off in left field and say something that's inappropriate or but what I like about Ben is he was sort of like a jazz musician. He had the game going on, but he'd be telling stories and he'd go back and forth and tell you about the players. And for all those years, those Dodger fans got to, he was just a big part of that club. I can't imagine somebody being with a team for 67 years, a highly visible position. And Vince Scully did it, I think, better than anybody. And in 1950, the Dodgers had names like Duke Schneider and Pee Wee Reese and Jackie Robinson. Those were guys in the lineup. And he went from that era to 2016, which had names like Justin Turner and Clayton Kershaw and Corey Schneider. So he bridged that large gap. And when they moved, of course, he was still a part of the team. And I don't know if there's ever been anybody that's had that big an influence. And just you would hear he would describe you when you listen to him on the radio, you could see the hot dog wrapper blowing around in the outfield, and fans would have transistor radios. That's a thing of the past. People in the crowd used to watch the games at the ballpark, but have transistor radios to listen to Harry and Jack and Ben. So anyway, Vince Scully, my number one.
Very good. Yeah, I struggled to put him in there because I would watch Dodger games going to bed just to hear him. Just to hear him. Dashiell Puig would be up to bat and he would be telling a story about Shakespeare and the timing was perfect, and Puig watches one on the outside and then he would weave in a story about golf or something, and just everything was so seamless and effortless, and his timing was great. I never remembered him. I'm sure it happened, but I never remembered him like, well, we're going to have to pick up with that story after the break or something. He always seemed to like finish it at the perfect time. Just awesome.
Yeah, something else.
He was one of those announcers whose voice held up.
Yes, it did.
Into his 90s. Whereas like, Buck and Shannon and Harry and, some of these others, as they got older, their voices could not keep up. And I know that Parkinson's was an issue with Jack Buck, but Vince Scully still sounded very, just had that golden voice.
Still had his hair, he looked good in the suit. Yeah,
and
he's something else.
He sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" 1/7 inning stretch. Guy could sing. Like it was nobody's business. So
look out, man.
Well, JJ, I am opening up 1991 score. There they are.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I have 5 different of these packs of baseball fold-out cards. You want to pick a number from 1 to 5, and I'll grab 1 being the top and 5 being the bottom.
7. I'm no good at math.
5, 6, 7. I'll do the
2.
All right, number 2. So I'm going to do 1983 17 batting leaders. 17 batting leaders on these fold-out cards. Cool. You want to go first?
Yeah, because I have the boring cards.
No, I'm going to say 2 Hall of Famers.
I'm going to say none because I've really not done good. Former Oriole first baseman, Randy Mulligan.
I vaguely remember him.
Yeah. Hall of Famer.
Hey!
Played for the Padres, played for the Yankees, played for the Twins, played for the Blue Jays, and at this time he was playing for the Angels, Mr. Winfield? Dave Winfield.
Yeah.
All right.
He got drafted in 3 different sports.
First round, too. Yeah, he was great. Great athlete. Blue Jays catcher, Greg Myers.
Okay.
White Sox first baseman, left fielder at the time, and he also played first baseman for the Yankees, Dr. Longball, Dan Pasqua.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Longball. I like that.
Love that name. Eh, 20 was his best year. He was always just a part-time player, though. Don't remember this guy, rookie prospect Daryl Irvine.
I don't remember him either.
Uh, Bo Allred, rookie prospect for the Indians. Do not recall this guy. Uh, Thomas Howard, outfielder
Yes,
for the Padre, rookie prospect.
I remember him with the Padres. That's who I remember him with.
For the Orioles, outfielder Brad Kamensk.
Yes, I think I remember him
Second
with a
Hall of
different team.
Famer,
Oh, two,
former
I'm on it.
Expo, former Cardinal, Larry Walker.
Larry Walker. Yes.
Uh, also he played for the Rockies.
Yeah, I think is that the team he went in the Hall of Fame with? Was it Rockies he went in with?
Probably that
Yeah,
was the
okay.
bulk of his great years. Brewers pitcher Mark Nedson,
Don't know him.
former Cardinal, former White Sox, former Pirate, the guy who had a hard luck year for the Cardinals, Jose De Leon.
Oh yeah, we didn't score no runs for him. He pitched so good.
Yeah, was he 7-19?
Huh.
Poor guy.
If he pitched with us,
One of
with the way
these
we're hitting, he'd get 12 wins this year.
one of these holograms, 1955 World
Oh,
Series,
oh, I like that. Very
and I
nice.
cannot read the back. I just know the
I
Dodgers won that year. Pitcher for the White Sox, Greg Hibbard.
yes, I remember him.
Pitcher for the White Sox, Don Paul,
Okay,
Donn. Pitcher for the Tigers, Paul Gibson, son of Bob Gibson.
no.
Yankees right fielder, also played for the Blue Jays, former All-Star Jesse Barfield, had one of the greatest arms in baseball history.
Jesse Barfield, very good. Two Hall of Famers.
Who?
All right, Vince, how many do you think in 1983? League
Two.
two. All right. Well, I don't know how to show this because you fold it out, so I'm gonna do my best. But on the back of the pack, here's what they look like. The one, the only, Rod Carew. Huh? Very good. There's one. All right. So I'm gonna open them up just sort of like a book. And they come to, I guess you cut these out, I'm assuming. But on the first book, when you open it up, it's Bill Madlock, who we love,
Bill.
and oh, George Brett. Look there.
George Brett.
Yes. So there's two Hall of Famers. And down here it just says George Brett, Kansas City Royals, 316 batting average. So it tells you their batting averages. Bill Madlock, Pittsburgh Pirates, 316 batting average that season. So there you go. All right. The next combination are two Missouri players, the great Lonnie Smith and Willie Wilson.
Nice.
So how about that? Them are some good pictures.
Yeah.
I really like them for sure. Oh, here we go. One's going in the Hall of Fame this year. So Hall of Famer, and the other one, well, he was his own worst enemy. The great Pete Rose and Dave Parker. Man, Dave Parker, even that picture of him smiling, he looks imposing.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, man, he was. And Pete Rose, very always intense. There he is with the Philadelphia Phillies. All right. The next one. Oh, I like this guy. And I saw a guy at a Cardinal game wearing a jersey of this guy, Cecil Cooper.
Ah,
Oh, that's a good one. Not a Hall of Famer, but a very good
very
player.
good player.
Yes. He can play on my team anytime. Oh, Hall of Famer, Jim Wright.
Mm.
Jim leading off second base. And on the other side, somebody we talk about on the show a lot. I'll give you a hint. Me and you both say he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Al Oliver.
Al Oliver.
Here we
There he
go.
is. There we go. Uh Oh my goodness! Of all people, that year he hit 300 even. Shake and bake McBride with Cleveland Indians.
There you go. Bake.
Yeah, man.
Callaway
Yeah,
kid.
that very good Callaway kid. And on the other side, oh, one of the worst trades the Cardinals ever made. They were having problems, and we just mentioned him tonight. We always mention somebody that come back up. There he is, Keith Hernandez. There he is. Oh, Keith, we miss you. Um, Vince, so far, all these players you say, yeah, they deserve to be their top 17 hitters. I wouldn't have thought this guy would be on there. Dane Orange.
Okay.
You gotta throw somebody in there and mix it up a little bit. Let me see. I'm unfolding this and zigzagging it. Anybody else that we missed? Oh, there is one. Oh, there's two. Okay, four. There's four left. I'm sorry. Okay, it's a Dodger Yankee combo of Pedro Guerrero and Ken Griffey Sr.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't see much of Griffey Sr. on the Yankees. Matter of fact, there's a story about Ken Griffey Jr. was going to go on the field and play around, and Craig Nettles had his son on the field, and somebody came and said, "Hey, he can't go out on the field." And he goes, "Well, Craig Nettles' kid's out there," and Ken Griffey Jr. said after that, "I'd never play for the Yankees." So he remembered that. And the last two, Fred Lynn and Steve Garvey, with teams they didn't start with. There's Steve with the Padres, and I know he really killed the Cubs that one playoff series. And then there's Fred Lynn with the Angels. You know, we always think of Fred Lynn with the Boston Red Sox. So Vince, that's the Cards, and I don't even know there's no backs to them. The Cards have like a player on the front and then a player on the back. I don't know if I like that so much, but they're good picture cards, and I've never seen that before in my life. And so anyway, I just picked them up. I never seen them. So that's it for me.
Cool.
That's kind of cool. Dane Orange.
Or as Harry said, org.
Or is that how he pronounced it?
Dane Org. Yeah. Garth Org. Yeah. Well, JJ, before we get off here, I got good news. Cardinals won 5-3.
No way.
Yeah.
Over Skeens?
Yeah. They had the formula to beat Skeens. That's awesome.
But if we can play them 162 times.
All right. Well, JJ, you have a great week.
You too,
I'm
sir.
going to go use the restroom. So
I understand.
Have a good one.
Take care.
All right.